are these people?
I wrote a new article for my Substack just in the last day or so because I noticed that there was some new functionality that Substack had created. And I have a channel called Indie's Tech Tips. I'm a big fan of Substack. I'm a big fan of content creation in general and using different platforms to do that. And INN, we created a profile for INN a while back, and we've never posted there. We've just used it to pretty much stalk people and look up other people's portfolios and pretty much for this show so that we could showcase stuff without doxing me personally. But I figured this would be a good place to potentially put this. So I found this new tool and I wrote it up because I hadn't even seen Substack themselves talk about this yet, which pretty interesting. But now we can turn an article, or at least a chunk of text from one of the articles that we publish, make a short video that reads the text. It's like text-to-speech AI with a little video that shows the text itself and moves as it speaks. So I made one of these. I put it into a Substack article. Here's what it looks like, and it's 27 seconds. So we'll play this, and then I'll show you the how-to below. So you can go and do this yourself if you have a Substack.
It hurts to see Substack give a boost to the creators who need it the least, celebrating their presence here and using them for their fame, which was generated using corporate-sponsored TV/radio/newspapers, which are partially responsible for the polarized discourse throughout much of the political world, and corporate media also was the driver behind why many of the smaller, independent publishers moved to Substack in the first place.
So what that was an excerpt from an article that I had written called Not You Too Substack. And it's a way to generate some interest, to create a 30-second video to put out to Instagram, to Twitter, to Facebook, to YouTube as a short even, and try to drive people back to read the full article. A little bit of a whet your appetite taste. So how do we do this? Well, first I wrote the article about turning your Substack article into a video with text-to-speech. Right? Attaches my 30-second creation you saw with AI voiceover, generated in just minutes, giving a post new life and opportunity. But funny enough, you can't share it to Substack notes because they don't handle video yet. I shout out and I kind of throw a little bit of shade to the heads of Substack about that, but they're amazing. The tool, the people, the building in public. They launched a new mobile app yesterday. If you haven't downloaded the newest version of the Substack app, do it. It's beautiful. It really, it's a serious upgrade from the last one if you had it. I would call it a home run. Well, actually a triple, because as I'm scrolling the news feed, there was a little subscribe button that my finger had happened to touch, and I subscribed to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's newsletter without meaning to, and I then had to go and unsubscribe from it, which took an extra few seconds. No big deal. Other than that, home run. Really smooth and does nice. And one of the things that the developers also launched recently was improved assistance in sharing to other social media notes. And I don't know if you'd seen this. I know Himbo have a Substack, but when you go to share from the dashboard, and I'm going to show you how, there's a new window that they have that helps you share to more places. So buried in it, but also buried within this new sharing screen that may have slipped past you, the developers also added this stealthy little functionality that can generate a transcript video with an AI or even your own voice. And here's how to make your own. So the first thing is when you're in the Substack dashboard, you get a list of all the posts that you've written and the statistics about them, and a little 3-dot hamburger menu, 3-dot menu, which you have to click, and then you go down to share post. And when you click on share post, it then opens up what they call the share center. This is a new web page that's only for content creators that have published a post. It automatically shows after you hit publish but you can also get back to it from a couple different places in the dashboard. And from here, it gives you easy clicks to share it to all these different social media sites, including Notes. Gives you a preview of what it should look like. I think that's what the Facebook post would look like. But then if you scroll down, the bottom half of it also gives you some really cool stuff. In the middle of the Share Center page is a beta section called Shareable Video. I was like, huh. I saw that the other day. I'd never seen it before. What the hell's this? And then underneath, there's also shareable images where they provide you 4 different look and feels in 3 different sizes. So square, 4x5, and 9x16. These are static images that have the title and the subtitle of the article. It also can be a background of the main photo of your article. Pretty cool. But we're going to talk about the shareable video stuff. So the first thing was I click on this create button, this white create button, and it takes me back to the article and says, okay, select a chunk of text, not a jank yogurt, but a chunk of text to share as a video. So I do that, and I then go to my article, I selected and highlighted a block of text, and then you'll see this little button above that highlighted block, and it says use this text, and voila, it will generate a text-to-speech read by an AI voice. And then it's processing. Once it's done, you can then change the voice. You can edit the quote that's being highlighted. You can change the background. And they show you kind of what it's going to look like. And you can preview it and download it. You can also change the background and download the next one. Pretty cool. And did I mention that this is all for the low price of free? Oh, yeah. Yes, this is free. So this is available right now. You can go to this step-by-step instruction site on indiemedia.today, indiemediatoday.substack.com. Share. What can you do with such a video? Put it everywhere except TikTok, because you need, I believe, a vertical format for TikTok. But anywhere that you can put a square video, do it. But not to Notes yet, because sadly, the irony, this will probably make the heads of Substack cringe, because sadly, as of this moment, I can't post that video to Notes, which is a Substack created social media solution. Video is really nice. I'll give them a ton of credit. It's the video embedded at the top. The only thing they'll need to work out is that if you forget that the video is processing and you leave this page for the share center while it's processing, you lose everything that you did and you have to start over. It doesn't save anything. Yeah. Right. And also that it does not include the H1 to H6 tags. So if you've got header tags, it then won't show the select this text button when you highlight it. It's only when you highlight body text. They'll fix all that. I'm sure they will. This is still in beta form. And then here's the article. Yeah. So you can actually read the full article that I wrote about Substack going shitlibby and promoting former mainstream media content creators over independents that built it. And I'm apoplectic about that. Of course. Yeah. A couple links to follow and share. So what do you think?
I mean, so one cool thing about Substack is I'm sure as many of you have heard, the brilliant Elon Musk is kind of floating the idea of making the Bird app literally just subscription, like everybody has to pay for it. So if you're not part of the people who's going to pay for Twitter, I'm not, frankly. I'm not going to pay for a platform that still hasn't dealt with issues like mass reporting, where I lose, dozens of my comrades every day for issues I don't know what they violated.
Or bots.
Or B, just dealing with a 1,000,001 fucking op accounts and bots and who knows what else. If you're looking for an alternative that isn't like a complete echo chamber, you can view my videos for my takes on them. Substack Notes is pretty good. It's got everything that Twitter got pretty much. It still needs some work here and there, But if you're looking to kind of just get your shit posting out there, or have kind of the same format as Twitter, it does a job, and I think it needs more love
I
because
feel like
it
it's more
does also
polite.
have.
People
It
there
is
seem to
more
be
polite.
more polite. You said it's more like everybody's on their best behavior in high school. You know,
Yeah,
I do get
but
that
it's
feeling
like
there. Hmm.
but it's like the cool thing too is that, like, I feel like that's because it's also tied to the articles and tied to like the content creation part of it. And I feel like that allows people to create a more holistic image of themselves, as opposed to, it with a lot of people you see, like, they kind of have a different persona on different platforms. Like, their Instagram is different from their Twitter, and their Twitter is different from like their Facebook or whatever if they're over 50. Uh, and like, it's just a more it keeps everything together. I'm not more polite on Substack. I'll give it that, but it seems like I am, because I'm not dealing with a million bad faith weirdos every fucking day.
Well, you know what it is.
Because
I think a lot of the people there actually do make their own content, and they're proud of their work, and they don't want you to go to their page and crap on them. So they're a little bit more timid and willing to be respectful, because it's more like mutually assured destruction in a way that we all are here and trying to do the best that we can, and everybody kind of understands that, in a way that there's many more shit posters on Twitter that aren't here to do the best they can. And they're not, and they're just literally here to be wreckers and to be COINTELOPS. And we're starting to see a little bit of that on Substack Notes. Not quite as much, but I hope that they can figure out that balance and keep, I'm just worried that Substack becomes too much of a cool kids club, that it separates the haves from the have-nots, just like corporate media, which was what it started out to become the opposite of. And what we're seeing now, where the Robert Reichs and the Matthew Iglesias and Nate Silvers showing up and getting elevated and celebrated by the heads of Substack, because they have a somewhat perceived large audience that may or may not be paying, but is giving visibility to the platform itself. I don't know if it's necessarily helping the platform's reputation, but that's my own personal opinion. And there seems to be a small but growing group of loyal, dedicated Substackers that have published, and I might even call us the 1,000+ club, that have published over 1,000 posts in the time that we've been at Substack. So we have some experience when it comes to creating here, when it comes to reading statistics, when it comes to perceiving what everybody else is doing out there based on what we've made ourselves. And I feel like certain times there are certain people and leadership at Substack that it tends to fall on deaf ears, though they'll give it lip service and act like they're listening. It's a data point that they take in, but they never really respond to it. It's a little frustrating. Shout out, by the way, to Mills Baker, who is fantastic. He's like the only one that really responds on a consistent basis.
Well, devil's advocate here. They could be just in that phase where they're like, we just need to bring more people over to this platform by any means necessary, because it definitely isn't popping off in the way that we need it to pop off. If, like, say, Twitter does go like pay to win completely, and it's like you got to pay a sub fee for that. Because I'm sorry, if Twitter goes the monthly sub fee route, it's done.
Yep.
You can have your opinions about that. I personally think, maybe this was the whole point. Twitter's one of the last bastions of like non-echo chambered exchange of, ideas and even though there's a shitload of ops and trolls and bots and all that, you kind
Visibility
of have it just all
filtering,
together. I
newsfeed
never,
manipulation,
yeah,
shadow banning, disappearing of accounts on a
mhm,
regular basis. We see all of these things, but
yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not an echo chamber where you're gonna show up and you're gonna expect to have a bunch of fucking opinions, and they better be the right opinions. Otherwise, you're just not part of the club. And that's what I've seen across the board with every single alternative, especially with Blue Sky. I mean, go on Blue Sky and give like a softball critique of like anything related to big pharma. Watch what happens.
oh,
Um, go on Truth and give a softball like, you know, uh maybe we should kind of, take care of each other a little bit more. You'll you'll get called Joseph Stalin in about 5 seconds. My point is, it's one of the few places where, like, if you have a strong stance on something, you can still get into a huge argument with people online. And I think that's important. You can still meet a lot of people who disagree with what you're putting forward. And I'm not seeing this on pretty much any of the Twitter alternatives. We thought Mastodon was going to be great. Mastodon turned into just another DNC echo chamber. Blue Sky is exactly the same. Uh, I still don't know what to make of Gab. It scares me. I don't ever want to go back. I regret
that's
making
the
an
skinhead
account.
social network, isn't it? I think that's what Gab has been kind of classified as at this point. That is
Kind
literally
of.
no rules
It's like
whatsoever.
it's it's like gardening tips and Nazi shit.
All day
It's
long. Yep.
quite odd. It's
So
quite odd. And then Tribble is just like Tribble's interesting because if you ever want to know who's like the Hitler of the month, so to speak, as I think Matt Taibbi, I think he coined that. But just basically like the new like bad person that the establishment is marked as like the devil, just go to Tribble because you'll just see like a whole feed of the same name over and over and over again. Um,
that's great. That's
it's
creepy.
it's at least useful for that. But my point is like
Yeah, there's nothing really
Twitter's
like
the
it.
closest
I just wish
thing
that
we have.
if Substack just added DMs and the ability to do video, it could literally replace
Mhm.
Twitter tomorrow. That and the
Yep.
groups also. I mean, I think that there's it's DM thread group threads. Some people love it, some people hate it. It is my lifeblood because without it, the algorithm just doesn't show my stuff to anybody. And the only way that anything ever gets pushed out is if I send it into a DM thread to 30, 40, 50, 60 people, then they'll share it out and then people around them share it out. And that seems to be the only effective way to get this out. And that's why Elon decided to put a limit for non-blue checks of 500 or whatever DMs per day per 24-hour period.
Mhm.
So I've figured out the way around that is to create a backup alt account for also doing DMs and putting that second account into all your DM threads, by the way.
Mhm.
Giving away my secret
And
there.
also and also not for nothing, but um Substack makes a lot of sense in this regard. You've got Notes for short form, and then you've got Substack for long form. So if you
Oh,
got just a quick take, you go to Notes. If you want to like give like, the tea on some shit, if you really feel like you want to write about something, you can also just use Substack like wholesale. And I think that combination of both things is really cool. I think they just need to flesh it out and integrate those things. They need to integrate those two things better. The one
yep.
thing that bothers me about Substack is you have to go to like a whole different like section
Section, yeah. They have to work on their
with like
interface
yeah, you got to go
between
to a
creator and
whole
reader. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you gotta go to a whole different section for the article shit, and then you gotta go back to notes, and it's like they just need to combine that so it's all like much more cohesive than it is.